Hello, hello. My name is Demara Stamler. I am a certified dream builder coach with the Brave Thinking Institute. Welcome to the Power of Vision, 3 keys to mastering your results. I'm really glad to be here with you. I want to begin with a short story. This is a story about a mother mouse, and she is with her little babies. And she's walking through the house, and all of a sudden, as they're turning the corner, the mice see this big cat. And the cat looks at the mice with hunger in his eyes and the idea that this is lunch for him. And he starts coming closer and closer to the mice. He's like creeping closer to them. And they can see his teeth, his sharp teeth. And their mother mouse is, wanting to protect her children. So she backs up and she raises on her hind legs and says in a really loud voice, "Woof, woof, woof." And the cat gets a little freaked out and runs off. And the mother turns to her little babies and says, "Now, children, never underestimate the power of learning more than one language." And I love that. I love this story because when it comes to mastering our results, whether it's achieving a dream or not getting eaten, there's a language to results. There's a language to success. There is a pattern to our results. And once we consciously understand this language, we can apply it to any area of life that we want to improve. And the system of success that we're going to be exploring today has been developed over the past 40 years and has been used by tens of thousands of people around the world to create the lives that they love living. And it's a proven, reliable, repeatable system for helping you create what matters most to you. So let me ask you this. How many of you have a goal or a dream that you'd like to achieve, or some area of your life that you'd like to improve? Maybe it's your career, or having a partner in your life. Maybe it's your health. Raise your hand if that's you. Now, I know this is a recording, but I invite you to go ahead and raise your hand and respond when I ask you questions, because that's engagement and there's an energy to that. There's an energy that has a result. So I just want to encourage you to do that. So we all have an area of our life that we want to improve. There's always this impulse to grow and become more. So yeah, you have a goal, you have a dream, you have some area that you want to improve. So here's my intention for the time that we have together. By the time you leave here, you're going to be empowered with 3 tools to help you achieve your goals. You're going to receive greater clarity on your goals and dreams, and you're going to come away feeling more confident in your ability to achieve those goals and dreams. Are you up for that? I'm hearing a yes. Perfect. All right. So let me ask you this. Have you ever achieved a goal or a dream before that when you first set that goal, you didn't know how you were going to achieve it? Hopefully, maybe you've raised your hand to say, yes, that's happened to you. I know I have. And so that what that tells us is that we are all capable of more than we know. You weren't sure how you were going to do this thing, and yet you did it. And that proves that you are capable of far more than you realize. And you may have even surprised yourself by how fast you achieved that goal, or how big the goal ended up being and that you were able to achieve. Maybe you felt like this guy. He's pretty surprised by how much he's doing. And what's interesting about achieving goals and dreams is where they come from. This may surprise you. Often our goals and our dreams are born out of the challenges that we face. And what I've learned during the many opportunities I've had to speak before different groups and organizations is that that's true. Our goals and dreams are born out of our challenges. And it's interesting. So how many of you are experiencing a challenge right now in some area of your life? Maybe you're raising your hand right now. We all face life challenges. And what's interesting to think about is that those challenges are actually a way for us to grow. They're going to cause us to grow when we have challenges. And there are two growth signals that life will send us that tells us that there's some goal or dream that's seeking to emerge. There's something more waiting for us, and something that's waiting for us. And those signals are longing, that longing for something more, and discontent, that dissatisfaction with whatever's going on in your life, whatever circumstance that you're going through. And both of these signals, longing and discontent, are actually catalysts for growth within us. They're part of the challenges. They're catalysts for growth. They don't always seem like that at the time. They don't often feel comfortable, and often we'll just push them aside because they have a tendency to make us feel bad. But if we realize that those signals are actually information from inside of us, there's a part of us that's just telling us there's more. Come on, you can do this. And I noticed that in my own life. That was very clear to me at one point in my life. I was in a job that was a really good job, and I was really good at that job. I did a really good job with that job. And for the first 6 years, I loved that job. It was fun. I was learning new things and getting to try on teaching to large groups of people, all kinds of things that were really great about it. And as I got into that job, very quickly, I was working 60 hours a week, sometimes more. I traveled quite a bit. And it wasn't long before I started feeling kind of like I'd lost myself. Like I just wasn't happy anymore. That's probably the best way to put it. And that was about at that 6-year mark that I was feeling that. I was not happy. In fact, every time I woke up, I remember this clearly. At that point in my life, I'd wake up in the morning and I was just kind of dreading going to work that day. I kind of felt like there was this lead weight on my chest. But, it was the logical thing to do, so I would push it off, and I just kind of dealt with it. How many of you ever have experienced that feeling before? I mean, it was a good job, a really good job. The salary was really good, and the benefits, outstanding. Had a retirement plan. My boss was a wonderful person. The people in my department were really good and easy to work with, and I really enjoyed them. And actually, my friends, looking from the outside in, were envious of my job. But I just didn't have a passion for it anymore. I was not happy. But still, I told myself I would just stick it out. If I could stick it out for another 10, 15 years, I could retire with this nice little nest egg. And then an interesting thing happened. At the next directors meeting, my boss laid out the direction for the company. He was super excited about it. The board and he had worked a long time on it. And he told each of us the plan for our department and how great it was going to be. He was talking, and when he started talking to me and telling me where my department was going and the really wonderful things it was going to be doing, and yes, they were, and all the new things I would be doing, and what it would all look like for me. As he was talking, all of a sudden I had this moment. It was as clear as day. Where the company's going, where the department's going, the plan for me, that's not me. I just knew it wasn't for me. I knew in my heart of hearts that this was not what I saw for my life. Anybody ever been there before? Even in the midst of that meeting, I made a decision for myself. I made a decision in that moment that I was going to change my life. And in that moment, as soon as I had that thought, I felt a little bit of relief, There was like this little bit of that weight came off. But an instant later, I got scared. I had no idea what I was going to do next. All I knew was that I wanted something different. But as soon as I had that thought of, I have no idea what's going to happen next. what am I going to do? I have no idea what to do. What's that going to look like? It's going to change the family. Fear just rushed right through my body. What's interesting about opportunities and signs and signals of change and longing and discontent showing up is that it never comes when it's convenient or comfortable. You know what I mean? But at the same time, I was ready for something new. And there's this saying that says, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. And I was ready. So I got home that night, sat on my bed, the sun was still shining in the windows, and I was flipping through Facebook, just wanting to set it aside for a minute and not think about it. And then there was this post that showed up from the Brave Thinking Institute. At the time, I didn't know who they were, but as I looked into the company, I discovered that they had spent the last 40 years studying the science of success and what creates results. Fascinated me. And I saw an opportunity to be a speaker, teacher, coach. They had a certification program. And actually, as I was looking at it, I was like, gosh, I'd never even heard of that before. But something inside me just really resonated with it. This is what I want to do. Ooh, this is what I want to do. Have you ever had that feeling of a sort of a calling to do something that for whatever reason just feels right, even if you have no idea why? It just feels right. And that's exactly the feeling I had. So I signed up for the certification program. I will tell you, it was scary because I was venturing in a new area. I had no idea how it would all work out, whether I'd be successful at it. No idea. But I took the leap anyway. I signed up. I went through this incredibly rigorous training program that they have at the Brave Thinking Institute. And I got certified to help people master the principles and the tools so that they can make any dream become a reality. And what's fascinating is that the Brave Thinking Institute has developed several different wonderful programs. And one of them is the Dream Builder program, where they've codified 10 principles that are proven, reliable, and repeatable. And when you apply these principles to your life, it helps you take any idea that you really want and turn it into your own reality and create that dream. So today, I'm going to share with you 3 of those 10 principles so that you can take them and apply them to your own life to create what it is that matters to you most. And these are the 3 keys to mastering your results. Sound good? Wonderful. Yeah. And here's my promise to you. I promise I'm going to give you everything I can in the short amount of time that we have together. And at the end of the class, if these principles resonate with you and you want to take this information further and integrate it into your own life, I have a special gift for you that I'll give you at the end. Sound good? All right. For now, let's get started. All right. There are 4 domains in which we create results in our lives, and they are health and well-being, love and relationships, vocation or career, or how you're using your time and talent in the world, and then time and money freedom. And you're having results in each of these areas right now. Some results you may love, other results not so much. But here's the good news about that. No matter what the results are that you have right now, no matter how big of a challenge it might feel like to you, no matter how long these results have been in place, you absolutely have the power to create the exact results you would love to have in your life. The results that you're getting right now in these areas of your life are a perfect reflection of your awareness in these areas. So I want to share with you a video. No, I think I'll send it to you separately. I'm going to send it to you separately. It'll be an extra surprise for you. So let's keep going. We're going to expand our awareness together by studying the pattern that creates our results. It's what I call the results formula. So we're creating results right now. As I said, you're creating results in your health and well-being. You're creating results in your relationships. You have results in your vocation and career, and you have results in your area of time and money freedom, or your ability to take vacations and do what you want to do. So you have results right now. We're creating results all the time. So what is it that is driving those results? Take a look at this. This is called the results formula. So here's what's creating your results. All of our results start in the form of our thoughts. They start right in our head, in our thinking. You're thinking all the time. You literally have tens of thousands of thoughts a day. And now your thoughts drive your feelings, or what we call your state of being, how you're feeling. So when you think happy thoughts, you feel happy, right? When you think sad thoughts, you feel sad. And deep down, you know this to be true, but let me give you an experience of it right now. Have you ever thought the thought, oh my gosh, I lost my wallet? Have you ever had that thought, oh my gosh, I lost my wallet? When you have that thought, I've lost my wallet, how do you feel inside? You're feeling maybe some panic, some fear, some stress, a little bit of anxiety maybe. And that feeling just shoots right through you instantly. Have you had the thought, oh wait, I think it's in my other purse, or it's in the pants I wore yesterday, and you find it there? Then what happens to your emotional state? You feel relief, you feel joy, you have this release of stress. Whew. Your thoughts are constantly being impressed, creating your emotional state. When you think confident thoughts, you feel confident. When you think fear-based thoughts, you feel afraid. Your feelings, by law, must be expressed in your actions. When we feel confident, we feel energized, we take a different action than we would when we feel down or frustrated or sad. And often when we feel frustrated or down or sad, we end up not taking any action at all. And it's your actions that cause your results. This is the law of cause and effect. Thoughts cause feelings, feelings cause actions, actions cause results. Now, 99% of the planet doesn't know this. They don't understand this. It's interesting because most of the world looks at their results, whatever circumstances are going on, what's happening in their career, what's happening with their life partner, where their bank account is in its status, what's in there. And the people in the world generally call those their causes. They think that those are the causes of their results. But they actually don't call them causes. They call them becauses. I can't have the dream I want because I don't have enough money. I can't have the relationship I want because I'm living in the wrong town, or I'm too old, or I don't have the right look. I can't have the career I want because I don't have the experience. I can't have what I want because. And where the true cause of our results is right here in our thinking, right here in our head. So what have you been thinking about? If you want to know what you've been thinking about, look at your results, because your results never lie. And that brings us to the first key to mastering your results. And it's also the first principle in dream building, designing your dream. So what do you want? What do you want? I mean, what do you really want? What's fascinating here is that I speak before a variety of groups all over, and I ask them this question. And most people have a general idea about what they want. Very few people have a crystal clear image, a crystal clear picture of what it is they want. When you want different results in your life, you plan for them, just like you have a clear blueprint when you want to build a house The same is true with your dream. Without a clear blueprint, you cannot build your dream. So let's look at what the Dalai Lama has to say. Ooh. In order to carry a positive action, we develop here a positive vision. So he's talking about our thoughts, what we're thinking, a vision, creating a vision. In order to have the action, first you have to have a thought, a vision to create a feeling that's going to create an action. So first you have to have the vision. So in order to carry out a positive action, we develop here a positive vision. And from the Bible, in Proverbs, where there is no vision, people perish. So I want you to grab a piece of paper and write this down. Clarity is power. When you become clear on what it is you really want in life, you begin to see opportunities and resources that you couldn't see before. Things seem to appear out of the blue. So let's design a blueprint for your dream and let's make it crystal clear. And I want you to think bigger than you ever have. So let's remind ourselves about the different parts of our life, the different domains. We have our health and well-being. We have love and relationships. We have vocation. We have time and money freedom. So for the purpose of time today, I invite you to choose one area of your life that you would love most to improve. Which of these areas would you most love to improve? Which is the one that you would want to focus on? One of the most so write that down which one you're going to focus on. Make note of that. One of the most highly calibrated questions there is. Highly calibrated, by that I mean it's fine-tuned, it's clear. So the best question we can ask here is this: what would you love? So you ask yourself, what would I love in the area of life that I'm focusing on today? What would I love? I challenge you to think bigger than you've thought in the past. Remember back when you were 5 and you wanted to be, I don't know, astronaut, a rock star, soccer star, brain surgeon, any number of things. Whatever it was, you easily dreamed it up as a child, and you can do it again. So dream big. All right, so any guesses what this is? I bet most of you know. This is the DeLorean. Anyone remember what the DeLorean, what movie it came from? Yeah, Back to the Future. It was a time machine. The DeLorean was a time machine. And so have paper and pen ready with a clean page. In a moment, I'm going to give you 1 minute to write out what you would love most in the area of life that you chose. And again, I want you to think big. I want you to think so big that you don't know how in the world it could ever happen. That's how big I want you to think. I want you to dream that big. Remember, right now, you don't need to know the how. We're not going to worry about the how right now. We're just going to we're not even going to worry about the what. We're going to think about the what. We're going to dream about the what. All right. So in a moment, we're going to step into this time machine. We're just going to imagine we're stepping into this time machine and we're going to go 3 years in the future. Can you imagine that? 3 years in the future. I want you to dial up the clarity of the area of the life you've chosen. Remember what area of life you've chosen here. And I'm going to invite you to really dial it up several notches, what it is you would love in that area. So what would you love your life to be like in the area that you chose? What would you love that part of your life to be like 3 years from now? And again, suspend the urge to figure out how this result could happen. But if someone gave you a magic wand, I'm going to give you a magic wand. What would you love to have in your life in this area? So if you're willing, close your eyes and take a deep breath. And imagine for a moment that it's 3 years from now and everything you wanted completely worked out. You have all the resources that you require. It's exactly like you imagined it. Stay in the thought of, what would I love? If you knew you couldn't fail, what would you be doing? What's happening in that area of your life? Who are you with? See that. How do you feel? Feel that. Let your imagination run wild. Take a few moments to think about that. What would you love in that area? And if you'd like a little more time, you can pause the recording. But for now, gently open your eyes. In a moment, I'm going to give you 1 minute to describe on paper everything you pictured in your imagination. Feel free to add more details that might come to you while you're writing. We're still 3 years in the future. Take 1 minute to write as much as you can. Be specific and as clear as you can. And begin. You still have 30 seconds. Ten seconds. You're doing great. And pens down, pens down. Take a deep breath. Interesting process, isn't it? Were you able to come up with some stuff? Do you notice that you're more clear now than you were at the beginning of the class? Did you perhaps finish before the time was up? You know, learning to use this power of our imagination, and it is a power, is just like learning to use our muscles more effectively. It takes some time to build that imagination. And that takes us to our second key. The second key for mastering our results, which is deciding for the dream. So let's consider how highly successful people view decisions. So first, let me clarify what I mean by highly successful. Being highly successful is typically thought of in terms of financial gain or maybe being a multimillionaire. And that's one outcome, certainly, and very possible for anyone. And being highly successful is something we want in every area of our life. We want to be successful in our health and well-being, where we feel good in our body and are caring for our body so that we can live the kind of life that we want to be living. We want to be successful in our relationships, whether it be a wonderful life partner or wonderful relationships with family members, friends, colleagues. We all want relationships in our life to be fulfilling and respectful and joyful. We want to be successful in the work we do, that it is feeding our soul, that we're doing what we came here to do. And we want to be successful in how we spend our time and how we spend our money doing the things that we enjoy. So let's look at how highly successful people think about the decisions that they need to make. Here's a key point. Highly successful people are willing to decide for what they would love in absence of knowing how to get there. They're willing to decide for what they want in absence of knowing how. how to do it. What do people with mediocre results typically want to do? They want to have every step laid out before them. They want every step laid out before they're going to take an action. They want to see the whole plan. People who feel stuck are often the ones that want the whole street to be all green lights before they're going to back their car out of the garage. Anyone relate to any of those things? How many of you know what I'm talking about? Yeah. But highly successful people are willing to make decisions in the absence of perfect conditions. They don't wait for perfect conditions. Here's what's fascinating. Take a look at this. Let's read this together. According to research at Stanford University, it doesn't matter what order the letters in a word are. The only important thing is that the first and last letter be in the right place. This is because the human mind does not read every letter by itself, but the word as a whole. You know, the first time I looked at this, it blew my mind. I mean, even if you've seen this before, I mean, take that in. How amazing is this brain of ours? Looking at this paragraph, it would seem that it's just completely unintelligible. But when the first letter and the last letter are in the right place, the middle can be jumbled up and your mind can still make sense of it and read it. And we know that our mind also only needs to know the starting point of where you are right now and where you want to go, your crystal clear vision. And your mind is willing to make sense of it if you're willing to decide for it. How many follow? So I want to share a quote with you. This is a world-renowned speaker and author, Bob Proctor, says it this way. There's a single mental move you can make, which in a millisecond will solve enormous problems for you. It has the potential to improve almost any personal or business situation you will ever encounter. And it could literally propel you down the path to incredible success. We have a name for this magic mental activity. It's called decision. I love that. Bob Proctor, we miss you. He passed in March, but what an amazing man. What a powerful being and great wisdom that he shared. So I want to share a story with you that gives you an example of this. This is a story about Judy. So Judy was a woman who came through the Dream Builder program. Now, Judy's circumstances are probably going to be very different from your circumstances, but the principles that she applied is the same. Judy was a single mom, 2 little kids, living in a cramped 1-bedroom apartment. And her dream was to have a home. She was actually working 2 jobs, one at a fast food restaurant during the day, and then as a seamstress at night, just to make ends meet, just to be able to put a roof over her kids' heads and food on the table. Her dream was to have a home where her kids could have their own bedroom. There'd be a yard for them to play in, and they might even have a dog, and it would have a picket fence. I mean, put yourself in Judy's shoes and imagine what it felt like for her. 2 little kids, trying to raise these kids, working 2 jobs, barely getting by. And she said she had only $500 a month for rent. That's all she could afford. But she had this burning desire. Now, you may not be in Judy's shoes, but Judy felt stuck. I mean, how many of you have ever felt stuck in your life, right? You're on your own hamster wheel, perhaps, and you don't know exactly how to change your results and to have what you really want. And that's where Judy was. So she came to a training just like this one you're in today. And she saw the presentation and it just really resonated with her. And she said to herself, you know what? This is my time. I'm going to change my life. So she made a decision for herself. She made a decision for herself. Remember that word. She made a decision for herself. And the decision wasn't easy. But she ended up studying the Dream Builder program with a coach. The first thing the Dream Builder coach had her do was to get crystal clear on what Judy wanted. Now, Judy was resistant because at that point she couldn't believe that she could have the house because she was already doing everything she knew how to do, right? But the coach worked with her and helped her dial up the clarity. So Judy came up with a blueprint, a crystal clear blueprint of the house that she would love to have for her kids. And on the next coaching call, the coach challenged her and said, okay, this is a beautiful vision for what you want. Are you willing to make a decision for this house? What do you think Judy said? Maybe you're thinking she said, sure, yeah. No. She said, what do you mean make a decision for this? I have a $500 rent now and we're barely getting by. That's all I can afford. I can't get this home that I'm dreaming about for $500 a month. It's probably going to be double that. So she had some resistance. But she learned this principle about making a decision in advance when it's not comfortable and you don't know how, and you still decide for it. Because when you do, it shifts your state of being. It shifts your feeling. It shifts your energy. You have a blueprint, and now you have to match it with your state of being. It won't work if your dream is to have a loving partner to share your life with, but your thoughts run more like, well, I'm not very good with relationships anyway. They never last. There's no coherence there. You have to match your state of being with the blueprint of the dream you've created. Not always easy. And when you match it with your state of being, that moves you into action. So until you are a match for this dream that you have in mind, you're not as willing to take steps, right? So Judy said, okay, I'm willing to make a decision. And the action they sourced was to go look for a house without all the funds to make it happen. So Judy went. She looked for the house. She found the house. She came back to the coach and got really mad. She said, great. Now I have exactly what I wanted. I found exactly the house in my vision, has the bedrooms, has the backyard, the picket fence. It has everything I want. Now I really feel bad because I can't have it because it's $900 a month. I only have $500 a month. And so the coach did something extraordinary with her. The coach took Judy through a process in dream building where they sourced an idea, because the coach knew that what's within Judy is far more than her circumstances. We talked about that. And Judy came up with an idea. See, Judy was handy. She could do things around the house. She could fix things up. So her idea was to write a letter to the landlord that said, basically, here's my story. I have these kids. If you will let me rent this house for $500 a month, I'll work on these improvements. And she listed 40 things that she would do over the course of the year if he supplied the materials. So she wrote that letter and she sent it off. 2 weeks later, she got a letter back from the landlord. It started like this. I don't know why I'm doing this. I've got full price applicants to rent this house, but there was something in your letter that really connected me. And so here's the deal. If you do everything you say you're going to do, we'll sign a contract for a year. Quarterly, we'll inspect it. I'll give you all the supplies you need. And if you do all the work, I will let you live in this house for $500 a month. Judy calls her coach, big smile on her face, huge joy in her heart, and says, oh my gosh, we got the house. We're moving in 30 days. And so Judy got to move into her dream house with her kids who had their own room with a white picket fence and a yard. But the cool thing is that Judy's story doesn't end here. At the end of that year, she did everything she promised she would do and stayed working in the Dream Builder system, tapping into that power inside of her. And by the end of those 3 years, she didn't rent that house, she owned it. Because she had figured out that one of her passions was to be a seamstress. Remember, she was doing that in the evenings part-time. But her passion was to actually do that. So she opened her own home-based business, skyrocketed her income, and was able to leave that fast food restaurant job, ran her own business from her home, and spend more time with her kids, which was another area of her dream. And now she's living her dream as a dream builder. And so can you. So what did Judy do that helped her get there? She decided in the absence of knowing how. She decided when it wasn't convenient, when it wasn't comfortable. If she had never taken that first step, where would she be? She might still be in that one-bedroom apartment and working in fast food. How many follow? She would never have taken that step. And Judy had to do one more thing. That brings me to the third key in mastering your results. Because when you come up with a big dream or a big goal, something you don't know how to do, fear is going to show up and you want to befriend your fear. And when that happens, that you've gone for the dream and you don't know how you're going to do it, there are two experiences we have as human beings when we decide to go for it. One is, looks like this. That feeling of, yeah, this is awesome. I'm doing this, right? This little kid is doing it. I'm doing this. We also have an experience that looks a little more like this. Oh, let me get it back there. A little bit more like this, right? Well, how's that going to happen? How are you going to do that? That's not going to happen. You don't have time. You don't have the money. It's fear, right? That's the doubt. That's the worry that says, who are you to do this? Who are you to do this? Who are you to do this? Have you ever heard from that part of you? It's part of you that asks right there, that's on the slide. But what if I fail? Look, I know that every one of us has had a failure in our life because we started out like this. We started out learning how to walk. We started out as non-walkers. And then there was a day when we became a walker. As a non-walker, you saw people around you walking on two legs and you wanted that freedom too. So you rose up, you locked your eyes on a cookie or a toy that you wanted and you gave it your best shot, right? You tried a couple of times, your legs are a little wobbly, and what happened? You fell down. But what did you do next? You rose up, then you tried again, took another step, and you fell down. And you got up again, and you took a step, and you fell down. And if you fell down 50 more times, I guarantee that not one of you fell down one of those times and said, well, I guess I'm just not meant to be a walker, right? But we didn't do that. We didn't do that. We got up and did it again. So take a look at the picture again. What else did we have in our corner? We had support. We had someone believing us, someone believing in this possibility of walking. We had someone cheering us on. So here's the deal. Great dream builders are willing to fail and rise again. We often look at successful people and think that they just had it easy, or we can't even imagine that they failed at anything. But if you learn their stories, you realize that most successful people had plenty of failures. Oprah Winfrey, billionaire TV producer, TV star, owns her own network. She was told early on that she wasn't fit for TV. They fired her because she wasn't fit for TV. Can you imagine that? Steven Spielberg, I mean, Academy Award-winning director, has more successful movies than we can count. He was rejected from USC Film School 3 times. Walt Disney, fired from the newspaper for lacking imagination. This was before Walt Disney was Disney. I mean, what if that kid, when he was working for that newspaper, what if he had bought into that paradigm and believed his boss and just told himself, well, I don't have any imagination. If he had believed that, then none of us would have the blessing of his amazing movies or the amusement parks. So here's the point. Successful people also have experienced great failures. In fact, fear and failure are prerequisites for achieving great dreams. Fear, doubt, and worry. There's a part of you that wants to go forward, part of you wants to play small, and then there's fear in the middle of it, right? How many of you have felt that? So what do you do when fear rises up? Because it's not an if, it's a when. It's going to show up. You're going to hear that voice that wants you to play small. So what do? There's a whole process to this that I teach my clients in the Dream Builder program. But for our purposes today, I'm going to give you the one thing that you can do. When you notice that your paradigms are showing up, you know that you don't have what it takes, or who do you think you are voice, you pause and you say, no, not today, not today. And you refocus, you reconnect on your dream, focus on where you're going, not where you've been. So you put your attention on your dream, where you're going. And then you take a step. Then you take a step. Fear, doubt, and worry, your dream. You take action. Because just thinking about your dream and even writing it down is not going to actually make it happen. You have to do your part. So take the next 15 seconds and write down one action step you can take that would move you in the direction of the dream that you just created. What's one step that you can take today or tomorrow at the latest? This isn't a step you're going to say, well, next month, here's what I'll do. No, you can't make a decision in the future. The decision is a now thing. So what could I do today, tomorrow at the latest? Take 30 seconds, 15, 30 seconds, and write something down. All right, good job, good job. And right next to that action step, write down the day and time you're going to be taking it. Write down today's date or tomorrow's date, and then commit to a time when you're going to take that action. Make a decision for your dream. Make a decision for when you'll take the action, and seal that deal by putting that action step in your calendar. Can you do that? I know you can. It's going to make all the difference. So excellent. Well done. All right. So let's take a look at where we've come, what we've learned so far. As I promised you at the beginning of our time together, I have a gift for you, and then I'll close the story. But first, let's recap on what we covered. You learned the 3 keys to mastering your results, which are 3 of the 10 Dream Builder principles that I'm certified to teach and coach people through. The first key is designing your dream. You have a blueprint of what you want to achieve in one area of your life. And the clearer your blueprint, the more access to the power you have to achieve it. So you want it to be crystal clear. The second key, deciding for your dream, the power of making decisions. You decide for the thing you want in absence of knowing how to do it. Deciding for it even when it's inconvenient and uncomfortable. And the third key is befriending your fear. How fear and failure are prerequisites for your success in all areas of life, because fear is going to show up. Failures are going to happen, but they are not stop signs. They're key components to your success. So let me ask you this. How many of you know that if you master these to an even greater degree, it would support you in moving in the direction of your dream? How many of you know that? I hope your hand is raised. Absolutely. So I'm going to close with a story. But first, let me give you your gift. Almost forgot that. Don't want to forget that. As I promised in the beginning of the workshop, I said I have a special gift for those of you who resonate with this material and are ready to take action on your dream. Between my speaking and coaching schedule, I carve out some time each month for strategy sessions. So you may be asking, what is a strategy session? A strategy session is a 1-hour phone or Zoom conversation where you and I get crystal clear on exactly where you are, crystal clear on where you want to be, and then I help you discover the next most important move that you can make towards your dream. It's a very powerful process. It's for people who are ready to invest in achieving their dream. So for you, the next step is some one-on-one time together with me where we can invest in you and invest in your dream. And the value of this session is $250. Here's where the gift comes in. I'm giving this to you. This is a gift from me to you, completely complimentary, so that I can pour into you and really help you and support you. Why would I do that? I do that because I love helping people and I want to help as many people as I can, whether you decide to work with me or not. I want to help you and anyone you know. I want to help as many people as I can to really change their life and look at life differently and take steps in a direction that you want to go and not simply accept things as they are, because you have the power to create what it is you would love to have in your life. So my gift to you is this complimentary strategy session. So if you're ready to invest in yourself and in your dream and take action, how many of you are ready to do that? If you're really feeling the resonance of it, raise your hand so that you energetically are committing to yourself that this matters to you. Fantastic. Now, I'd love to give strategy sessions to each one of you. Unfortunately, I don't have that many sessions available. Here's what I will do. I have 10 slots available, and it's first come, first serve. So here's what I want you to do. I posted a link in your email so that you can go into my online calendar and book your strategy session. Now, there are limited spots, so remember the power of taking an action. And if you go to schedule your complimentary strategy session and there aren't any more open sessions, then email me. And if my schedule opens up, I promise I will give you a strategy session as well. Make sure you do this. Make sure you make this decision for yourself quickly, because as time goes by, we fall back into old patterns. So if this really resonates with you, I hope you'll take that step. And I look forward to supporting you in this strategy session. All right, so let's look back at where Judy is today. We have your health and well-being, love and relationships, vocation, time and money freedom, and you only worked with one of them today. We can certainly have that conversation when we have your strategy session, what you would want in any of the other areas. So that's certainly, we want a full spectrum life. So even though I had you focus on one area today, you want to look at all areas of life. You wouldn't want success in your vocation, but bankruptcy in your relationships. You want all of it working in process, improving and growing along the way. So for a moment, just imagine where Judy is today. Imagine Judy playing with her kids, enjoying her home, her business. I promise you that never in 100 years did Judy believe that that would be her life. And yet she's living that life today because she was willing to believe in the power breathing her. She was willing to design a dream that seemed impossible. I'll close with this story. And it's a story about William H. Murray. William H. Murray is known as one of the top 5 mountain climbers of all time, but he didn't start out that way at all. In fact, he almost let the opportunity for greatness slip right by him. Most mountain climbers would tell you that the greatest achievement for any mountain climber is to summit Mount Everest. And a man named Edmund Hillary was putting together a team to attempt to do just that. And Hillary wanted Murray on his team. At that point, no one had ever reached the peak of Mount Everest, and the effort was going to require an investment of time, investment of money, and each climber was going to have to pay their own way. So when Hillary invited Murray, Murray thought to himself, I would love to be on that expedition, but how much is it going to cost? So he asked that question. And when confronted with the price, he said he saw no way of coming up with that kind of money. So he had to decline the invitation, and Hillary went on the climb without him. Hillary's team had a great expedition, but they didn't quite reach the summit. A couple years later, Edmund Hillary was putting together another expedition, and he sought out Murray once again. And he said, Murray, we all want you on this team. Come with us this time. And for the second time, William H. Murray asked how much it would cost to go on the expedition. And once again, when confronted with the price, he said no. The number was more than he believed possible for himself. He declined this opportunity based on conditions. So Hillary and the team hiked Everest without him a second time. And they got further up the mountain this time, but they still didn't reach the peak. Deja vu. Hillary asks Murray again for the third time. Hillary says, listen, Murray, we're going to go one more time. And I think we're going to reach the summit this time, because when I got down from her the last time, I looked back at Everest and I said, I will climb you because you're not getting any bigger, but I am. So this time when Hillary asked Murray to come with the team, Murray asked a different question. He asked, how much is the deposit? Because Murray had decided he would go on this expedition. He had no idea how he was going to pay for the trip, but the how didn't matter. At that point, he was committed. He put down his initial payment and he was on his way. And as it turns out, Murray attracted all the financial resources required to go on the full expedition. And it was Murray who discovered the southern route on Everest that allowed the group to summit the mountain. Murray wrote about his experience in the book called Evidence of Things Not Seen. And one of the famous quotes from that book is, absence of evidence is not evidence of absence. Let that sink in. Absence of evidence is not evidence of absence. Absence of evidence is simply absence of awareness. You have a Mount Everest level dream. And perhaps right now there's no clear path at this point, but that doesn't mean a path doesn't exist for you. It just means that you're still growing your awareness to be able to see the things that you can do to generate the result that you want. I'm honored to be able to support you in learning the keys to master those results. So I'm going to close this workshop with another very famous quote from Murray's book. Until one is committed, there's hesitancy, a chance to draw back, always ineffectiveness. Concerning all acts of initiative and creation, there's one elementary truth, the ignorance of which kills countless ideas and splendid plans. Namely, that the moment one definitely commits oneself, then providence moves too. All sorts of things occur to help one that would never otherwise have occurred. A whole system of events issue from the decision, raising in one's favor all manner of unforeseen incidents and meetings and material assistance, which no one could have dreamt would come their way. And he goes on to say, I learned a deep respect for one of Goethe's couplets. Whatever you can do, or dream you can, begin it. Boldness has genius, power, and magic in it. So I say to you, as you head out back to your own life, remember that what's inside of you is far more powerful than any circumstance, any condition, any situation that you're facing. You have incredible power within you, and you can claim for yourself to let this be your day. Let this be your day to take bold action and know that I'm believing in you. I'm supporting you. I'm cheering you on. And as Goethe says, whatever you can do or dream you can, begin it. Boldness has genius, power, and magic in it. And so do you. Well, we have a few more minutes until we are at the top of the hour. So I will stay and answer your questions. But for now, I'm going to close the class. So I want to say to all of you, it has been a real privilege and a true honor to have spent this time with you. Thank you so much.